So after we look at the different types today, on Monday, then we will start looking at each type separately. Not Monday, Tuesday. Y'all have a 3-day weekend. And we'll probably do, I don't know if next week or the week after that, there's a couple of fun labs that we will end up doing with this unit. All right, so first type of reaction is called a composition or a synthesis reaction. And that's when you have an element plus an element, or it could be an element plus a compound come together to make one new product. So the giveaway on that type is that you only have one product. You may have 2 things come together, 3 things come together, but in the end, you only end up with one product. Decomposition is the opposite of that. You start with one reactant, and then it breaks down. It may break down into 2 elements, may break down into an element and a compound, but you only have one reactant. A single replacement reaction is when you have a single element plus a compound, and that single element is going to come and kick something off that compound. So when you have your product, you have, so you can see A came and kicked B off. So now A is part of the compound and B is just all by itself. So the way you recognize this is that you have a single element plus a compound. Our double replacement reactions will be the ones that are the most complex. We have a compound plus a compound, and the metals are going to switch places. So I'm going to end up with CB plus AD. So we have 2 compounds and metal switch places. Bless you. And the last one that, bless you again, the last one that we have is called a combustion reaction. And that's when we have a hydrocarbon. Let me move that up a little bit, Summer. I'm going to make sure everybody gets, because it erases the rest of that. So I'm making sure everybody gets to the, at least to the number 4. And then I'll move it up again. Yeah, oh, goodness me.
We didn't go.
Got allergies? Is everybody caught up on this one? I'm gonna move it up a little bit so, because I know it's hard for somebody to see back there. All right, so the last one we have is called a combustion reaction. So that's when we have a hydrocarbon, which is something that's just made of carbon and hydrogen. Plus oxygen. You always have to have oxygen as one of the reactants. And this always produces the same 2 products. It always produces CO2 plus H2O. Always same products. So that's what we're going to work on today on your worksheet. You're going to have those 5 types, and you're going to look at equations first and classify them. And then on the bottom part, you're going to still classify them, and then you're going to do a little bit of balancing. So you may want to leave your notes right there by you because you're going to need to refer back to them as we go through our worksheet. Okay, has everybody got that one? All right. So virtual guys, if you will look at your daily work Friday the 15th. This is what we're going to work through. Okay. So the different way we're going to be classifying them. I'm going to write these notes. You may want to write them yourself. If it's a synthesis, we can just put that for synthesis. The thing that gives away a synthesis is that it has one product. So if you go through there, start with number 1, go down, see if you can find a synthesis reaction that only has one product. 6, right? See how it starts off with a couple of reactants, but it only has one product. So on that one, you can just put SYN for synthesis. Does anybody see another one?
13.
Let me look at 13. 13 has one reactant, so we're going to talk about that in a minute, but see, look how it has two, it has oxygen and O2, so it has two products. Yeah, 10 would be my one other one. See here how it only has, number 10 only has one product, so that's going to be my synthesis. Now, Jesus recognized our second one. It's called a decomp. You can just put a DEC to shorten it. And this is the opposite. So instead of having one thing at the end, we're going to have only one reactant. So like number 13, like Jesus pointed out, we start with just O3. So we start with only one reactant. So that would be a DEC number, number 5. Right here. $13 is one, and you're right, 14 is one also. I only have NO2. It doesn't matter that I have 2. I could have 20 of them, but I only have one reactant. Oops, it's not supposed to say that, is it? Sorry. It's supposed to say, let's try that. So those are probably the easiest two to recognize. So the next one that I think the third one that's easy to recognize is a combustion reaction. You can just put C. In your notes, combustion was number 5. That's the one that always has CO2 and H2O as products at the end. Oh, okay. They're supposed to, are they supposed to be testing right now? Okay. Reading and higher, y'all are supposed to be testing.
I think reading is Tuesday.
Oh,
They changed it?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's not today. I'm sorry. I thought it was for right now. Sorry. All right. So who can find a combustion reaction that has CO2 and H2O as a product?
12. 12.
Not 12, because 9 would be an example. Because if you look, I got CO2 and H2O. It doesn't matter what the coefficients are as long as I have those two. And yeah, there's another one. Exactly 3. CO2, H2O. So that's a combustion reaction. All right. So what we have left are single replacements and double replacements. And those sometimes are a little bit harder to pick out. So if I look, we'll start with a single replacement. If I look, a single replacement has an element plus a compound. This is going to be a single replacement. So for instance, if you look at, yes, number 4, exactly. Here's my compound. Here's my element by itself. If you notice, that element kicked that iron out and exchanged places. So that would be a single replacement. You can just put SR. Would number 7 be one? If I look at number 7, I've got a compound, right? But I don't, yeah, that ends up being a double replacement. But this is another compound, so that's not going to be single replacement. Does anybody else see another single replacement one?
Oh, this. Go.
8 is one.
12.
12 isn't, and I'll talk about it in just a minute, but let's look at number 8. Compound. There's my compound. Silver nitrate. There's my single element by itself. It comes and it kicks it out. So this is a single replacement. If we look at number 12, Jesus, MgI is a compound and MnSO3 is also a compound. So those are 2 compounds. So that's not single replacement. Does anybody else see one more single replacement on there?
So Kappa gonna be C, right?
What about number 11?
That's it. C.
See how if you look at number 11, there's my compound, SeCl. There's my element by itself. That oxygen kicks the chlorine out and now becomes part of the compound. So that's my single replacement. So the last thing that we have is a double replacement, and a double replacement is the most complex, compound plus compound. This is going to be my double replacement. And remember, the metals switch places. So if you look here at number 1, sodium phosphate, potassium hydroxide, definitely 2 compounds. The sodium and potassium switch places. So this one would be a double replacement. So if we've done it correctly, everything that has a blank should be a double replacement, but I think we need to check ourselves as we go. What about number 2? That one's blank. Do y'all believe that one's double replacement? I'm sorry, Rudy, I didn't hear you, babe. Number 4? No, number 4 would be single replacement because I have one. Yeah, I have one compound, but then I don't have another compound. I just have an element. All right, we got number 7 blank. Do y'all believe 7's a double replacement?
Yes.
It is. And last one, if we did it correctly, number 12, which is blank, should be a double replacement.
Yes.
And it is. It's 2 compounds, magnesium iodide, manganese sulfate, and you can see how the manganese and the magnesium switch places. All right, so we did all of those together. So everybody got those? All right, so that means I'm going to leave the last few for y'all to do by yourself.
Oh. Me too.
Well, you got to look at it and you got to go back and look at your examples. So on the ones that are left, 15 through 20, you've got to look and see what type it is. Jesus, be quiet, please, sir. Look and see what type it is and then balance it. There are a few that are already balanced. So if you have one that's already balanced, just underneath it, write balanced. Still choose what type it is. Everything should have a type. Some you'll have to balance and some will already be balanced. And if it's already balanced, then just put the word balanced on it. 15 is double replacement. Yes, ma'am. Because I have two compounds. And see how the sodium and the calcium have switched places? See, the sodium is now with hydroxide, the OH, and the calcium's with the bromine. All right, so that just gives y'all a few on there to finish this worksheet. So you should have plenty of time. We did not have a journal today because I messed up. On my virtual students, be sure that you finish it and turn it in. If you have any questions, then unmute and ask me. I'm going to be helping my students walking around helping them here.